Podcast. The Ribcage Podcast. You are now in tune to the Ribcage Podcast.
Come on. Yes, people. Welcome to the Ribcage Podcast. We're back again, celebrating Christmas. I've had bear turkey legs and fish and salmon. No, salmon is the same thing as fish. Leg of lamb, bear chocolate. You know, so I'm feeling festive still. Hawks, how you doing, mate?
I'm good, man. I'm good. For me, I'm glad it's over.
I'm
glad it's over.
Amen. I'll put a couple of pounds on as well, bro.
I've indulged in the wrong ways. That's what I've done.
I hope not super naughty indulgement, but you know.
No, I'm not talking super naughty. I'm just talking. I'm glad it's January and I can set some New Year's resolutions.
Amen to that. Yeah, beautiful. Nah, look, welcome to the Ribcage. My name is Deo. I've been in jail, in and out of jail. I got just under 10 years under my belt. Nothing to be proud of. I'm also a mentor. I'm a barber, by trade. And, I feel like the reason why I wanted to do this podcast with my good friend here is to sort of like maybe let people hear my story, and if people can learn something from that story, to think, you know what, I don't want to do that, or I'm not, or not do that. I think I'm saying the same thing there anyway. You know what I'm saying to you? And this is where I could be true to what I am and what I do and where I was and how I got out of it. And I felt that Ribcage was a good place to be authentic about it and try and help people.
It's who you've become.
And
I reckon that's the most important thing. It's like, all of these things that you've been through, it's like, who have you become from?
Yes, that's right. And I don't mind sharing it to you guys out there. So yeah, what about you, big man,
Me? Why do I do it? For many of the same reasons that you do. I'm the trauma and the experience that I've been through. If I can help one person not have to go through those, then I really feel like I've done something that can maybe heal my soul a little bit. That's one reason not to do it. Another reason is to show to all of those out there the man that I am, rather than how you can be perceived to be. And I think unless you're authentic and unless you can, go to the bare bones, be vulnerable.
That's right. Vulnerable. Love that word.
Vulnerable.
Right.
But yeah, look, I've done since 2016. I've had a year out of prison, so it's like 7 years or so. And something not to be proud of, like you say, that mentoring and giving support and like shining a light for those that are a little bit lost and misguided. I get a lot from it, so that's why I'm here, because maybe that light can shine out and help a few more people. Maybe
not only can you do it face to face, we can also do it digitally now. You know what I'm saying? To try and mentor people.
I don't know, like me growing up, I'm what, 40. How old am I? I'm 47 now.
Yeah.
You're what, 45?
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
So like this isn't something that I'm particularly comfortable with. Do you know what I mean? Technology wise, putting yourself out on. Do you know what I mean? It's not something that I'll probably find it easier because it feels like I'm chatting with a mate than I would be if it was on a social.
Beautiful.
In a social. But I think I've reached an age where I realise that I can utilise some of these things actually to do some good. Working one-to-one and doing what we do with the charities, and that's all really good. But why not?
Yeah, why not on digital?
Digital. Why not? What? This is why we're doing it, because we want to see maybe if we can and how good we are at it.
Yeah, and you also said something one time ago about reference, where people can use this as a reference. I thought that was very powerful to use as a reference.
I can remember when I went to prison and the first time when I got out, and like you do, I only did it. It was only a short sentence, few months, but I went on the internet to sort of see other people's views on prison and what it was like. And I've got to be honest, I couldn't at the time. Maybe that's different now. At the time, I couldn't really find anything which. So there's going to be families out there that are going to be wondering actually what's prison like. The truth about it, not the. And there's going to be people that maybe are going to be in court possibly being sent down, they're going to want a little bit of information on it. So maybe us speaking like this, it gives a side of the criminal justice system,
Insight.
an insight, from the people that are living through it, rather than the people that are talking about it.
Beautiful. And you know what, Mr. Hawks? Beautifully, as you mentioned that, I love that, how we smoothly just, the topic
Transitioned.
Transition. The topic today is about, you've got it there, yeah?
We have, yeah. So, I think we're going to work through a few, but I think, like, first of all, we've done a lot of talking on prison, and but there's a lot of different angles that you can come from, and I think it's really important, especially people that are going through the initial court process and all of that at the beginning.
Yes.
I thought it'd be nice to talk about maybe the whole legal process.
Beautiful.
How solicitors work while you're in prison, what sort of support you get from them, finance and that side of thing, how you pay for it, and maybe that will give people a little bit of an insight on what to do and not to do when choosing a solicitor.
I mean, if you don't mind me going first,
yeah, of course,
I remember in the 2014 to 2019, I had to do 10 years, so 5 that. I remember one time I had this solicitor, but actually they were great. The angle I'm coming from with this solicitor is a lot of people think you can't swap solicitors. Now, it was a duty solicitor, but if you are not happy with this duty solicitor, which I wasn't happy with, because the workload that he was giving me on this big sentence was not good enough. And luckily I explained it to him, and he was willing to say that, oh, look, he defaults, because if he hadn't done that, highly likely the judge would not have accepted the default. And he then says, oh, look, he defaults, and basically we need to go. I need to have somebody else. Then I went privately, which was good in the sense of,
let's just explain. A duty solicitor is a solicitor that gets, when you get arrested,
correct,
the police will supply you with a solicitor that's on duty, and it could be anybody from any company.
Correct.
And they will give you representation.
So let me add my bit to that. So I got a duty solicitor, and I wasn't happy with him, which is what you're on about. When I got arrested, duty solicitor, come in. He went on like as if he cared about me and all that type of stuff. But really and truly, when you are not getting paid, do you really have that same output of work for that person? I personally don't think they do. And so that's why later on I then changed that duty solicitor and went for a private one.
Did you get a better outcome?
Absolutely, yeah. I did, funny enough.
Like you say, the duty solicitors, they don't want to put, well, the reality is, let's talk from my experience again. I get given a duty solicitor. He comes in, this is the first time, he says, I have to go guilty. Now, for me, when you're in a police cell, when you've got nobody around and no support, and you've never been there before, and you don't really know what the process is, and then you have somebody come in that's an official basis that's there to support you and give you the best advice. When you're in that vulnerable space in a police station, you believe what they have to say. And what I've found is, and talking to a lot of men over the years, a lot of the time, the duty solicitor want to make quick money. The quickest way to make money is for you to go guilty. You're in, out, you can move on to the next person. Because that day, he's got to go back to the police station that night and probably speak to another, who knows, 5 to 10 people. And he might be representing them as well the next day or over the next few months. So you trust this person. And this is what I did.
In your vulnerable state.
Yeah. And I trusted this person to go guilty, when the reality is I should never have gone guilty in the first place. But, and like you say, they will not, if you feel like you're innocent and you have a case and you explain your case to your duty solicitor, because he's only getting paid £150 every time he comes to represent you, he wants to do that 10 times a day. He doesn't want to, so he won't put in the work that's needed, or she, whoever it may be, for you to have a fair case. So when you go to court, you've got the a fair chance of being found innocent, rather than no case being built up, no evidence being built up on your behalf, and it's a difficult situation to be in.
I think, what people think solicitors are straight, and they're not. I'm going to put it like that. There are some good ones. I'm not slating all solicitors, because they're a human being. And from when they're a human being, they have the tendency of doing something dodgy.
Yeah.
Simple as that. So I'm going to tell you a little story about something that happened to me in this last sentence.
Mm-hmm.
So I had a solicitor who was a friend of mine, and he did lots of jobs for me that was okay. And then this case that I had last, I was on a downward spiral where I was skint. I didn't have no money. So I needed him to do a duty-free job for me.
Yeah.
I have never seen him do it was the worst job ever. And what makes it even worse was I had a couple of pals with me who were like, "Oh, Deo, look, we'll help you, and I was like, okay, then let's do it. And the amount that then he wanted to charge me because he thought I still had money was stinkingly stupid. Now, I would have paid that if I had money, because I know what money, what money brings, brings that workload and that, okay, I'm going to do whatever I can for you to get out.
I understand that.
Yeah. So anyway, I didn't have no money. And because of the price that he said, I said I wasn't going to do it. So he had to do it duty free.
How much was that price?
22 or 24,000 quid. And it was not a lot of work. So he only so by that time, he'd probably only come and see me once. So I got arrested in November. By January, I've probably seen him twice. He did a couple of paperwork. I was going to trial. And I was going to trial because I was pleading not guilty. And he wanted to charge me. That's just his job. £24,000. And you're supposed to be, I'm not supposed to have pals, but he was a pal. And you were still going to charge you £24,000.
It's uncomfortable. It is uncomfortable.
Let me tell you, sorry.
No, please.
The worst thing for me was this then, later on, as I was finding out, as I was getting into the case, into trying to exonerate myself, right, yeah? This solicitor was going to the same gym as the accuser and passing information on to the accuser, telling them that, I was not going to get 5 years. I was going to get 5 years or something. So don't, okay, I don't want to put words that I am not sure about, but it says, this is what Deo's going to get. You know what I mean? I don't know whether it says it's all right, but this is what Deo's going to get.
It wasn't professional.
Absolutely not professional. But what makes the matter worse was, in speaking to the person who helped me find out this information, I wanted to change solicitors, because there was no way that I could go to court,
couldn't trust them,
knowing that my solicitor was in cahoots with the accuser of the accuser. So anyway, we did the paperwork to go to court, and Judge Burbage. That's who he was. No, that's even no. Judge Lockhart. Judge Lockhart. The guy said, Mr. Cromwell, solicitors, because I told him that my solicitor was going to the gym, having steamers. Is that steaming? Steam room. Going to the Lord McGrath gym. And he was meeting the accuser in the gym, going into the steam room and talking about my case. Now, how did I know this? This is I'm not making it up, because in the end, the solicitor says, yes, I do go to the gym with this guy, but we do not, but we don't talk. And then the Judge Lockhart then says, well, I'm going to swap it over because I don't want some false accusation about information being passed over. I was really upset in the fact that if it wasn't true, if it wasn't true, why then did he admit it? Secondly, you went to. It really upsets me, right here, because if it wasn't true, how did you know? How did I know? You know what I mean? How did I know? And I've just, let's say I've just come out of thin air and said, oh, my solicitor goes to the same gym and they're having conversations about it. And then how dare he then, Judge Lockhart, then say, well, I don't want to say this. I'm going to let it go because I don't want there to be some sort of accusation of cahooting.
The thing is, the judge,
I couldn't believe it.
the CPS,
I couldn't believe it.
barrister, the defence barrister, they work with each other all day. So they would have had this conversation. This would have been going around the office before you got into court. They would have had all of this conversation.
I couldn't believe it.
And this is the thing with the courts. You think that they are, the solicitors, they're upstanding. They're what they call. I think you meant to call them honourable gentlemen. In my latest case, I actually said, how can I call you honourable when all your actions are dishonourable? And this is the thing. You see, the courts and the judges should be there to balance the scales of justice. But what happens is they all get together, decide what outcome they want, and then that's the outcome. If they can push it far enough, that's what they'll get. And that usually comes down to the person on trial being strong enough to say, hang on a minute, I'm either happy with this or I'm not happy with this.
Thank you. I think that is the most important thing for me, was the person who's on trial has to have the balls to say no. Just because I haven't been to uni or educated like you, I am not buying into that scaremongering that you're trying to scare me with by going, one, guilty, or two, doing it your way. So because you're paying them, you know. So that means they're supposed to do what you tell them to do.
What the people need to realise, and this is everybody, whether they're a judge, whether they're a policeman, whoever they may be, a barrister, they have exactly the same right as a layperson, a man in the community. They're no better, they're no worse. They have exactly the same rights. This is us. This is right. So when you go to court, they don't have the power in the court, although they make out they do because they wear the wigs and they speak a lawful tongue, but they have exactly the same power as you. The trouble is, when you give the power for a solicitor to speak to you, speak for you, what you're actually doing then is taking your power away, because he's going to speak to keep the judge happy because he works with him every day, and to keep his relationship good with the CPS in case he needs a favour in the future. So you're stood there thinking that this solicitor's working for you, but no, what he's actually doing is working for himself. The best thing to do, for me, this I'm talking from my experience, everybody's different, so I can't afford a good solicitor. Represent yourself, speak your truth, stand up and speak your truth in court. Let the jury see who you are, let the evidence be what it is, speak your truth. Don't hide behind a solicitor who isn't going to work for you hard enough. The only trouble with that is a lot of the work that needs to be done, that you need funding for, you can't get funding for because you're not a solicitor.
It's terrible.
So there's a lot of,
it's terrible.
You know, it is,
it's terrible. And the reason why I wanted to bring that up, because is, you know, the judge said something which hurt my feelings, that I don't want Mr. Cromwell to make up accusations on this solicitor because we don't work, as in they don't work like that.
No, because they don't want.
I couldn't believe it. And I thought, but one, the solicitor then has just admitted that he goes to the same gym. So can't you see then that there is some sort of miscarriage of justice going on? And then in the end, he then swapped it over anyway, because obviously it makes sense to swap it over. But I guess I could have had my case thrown out, even though I did win it. I could have had my case thrown out because something dodgy was going on. And the only way I was able to know was and that's what I wanted to say. The only way I was able to know that this was happening was the accuser met somebody of mine. So I was trying to say to the judge, or to the judge, that this has come from a good source of information. Now, I mean, this has come from the accuser. This is not something that I've made up. But the judge sort of like, oh no, we're not going to go like that. We're not going to hear that because I don't want you to accuse your solicitor for doing something dodgy. And I was really disappointed that that they don't think that it is possible.
I think miscarriages of justice, they're quite common, but for you to get your voice heard is very, very hard. And whether that comes down to the police or the courts or a solicitor acting, because at the end of the day, the way that you're looked at and the way that you're perceived, you're the criminal.
Yeah.
You're the one in a
Yeah.
position and within within society which doesn't stand at the same standing as those people that are accusing you. So your accusations or your facts, they sort of get brushed aside. You know, I've been.
You did one where you're going to court and you're representing yourself.
I had a real issue with my because if I'd have gone guilty, I could have got out within 6 weeks, 3 months, and I refused to go guilty. So they said, "We'll put your trial off for 6 months." Fair enough. So I gave a big list of, like you did with your solicitor, a load of things that I need to do to build my case for the solicitor. By the time the 6 months had come around, I had no contact from my duty solicitor.
Imagine that. It's disgusting, isn't it?
I got into court, never met my barrister before. The barrister submits a defence statement, which I'd never agreed to. It was just a complete and utter farce. And so in the end, I said to the judge, this is because they eventually I spent 14 months on remand in prison waiting to go to court because my solicitor wouldn't do his job. In the end, I put in a bail application to court. I went to court. I stood in front of the judge. I sacked my solicitor, got the application put in and accepted. Said I was representing myself. Put in a bail application that got accepted. My previous solicitor said he'd done it 3 times. I'd never got out. I did it once and got it.
Yeah.
What I've realised is I can stand and speak.
Absolutely.
You know, I can, and so why give that power to somebody else which has got absolutely no knowledge or no understanding of what you're going through and what you've been through?
How was it then when you stood up in court and you were representing yourself?
Yeah, obviously it's a little bit uncomfortable because you're having to speak in a way because they're speaking in lawful terms, and I'm speaking in like common, common language.
Yes.
But what I've realised is they'll use lawful language to hide their dishonesty, call themselves honourable and all that. So I'll just say it how it is, and I'll call them out on it.
Because you can't. Sorry to interrupt. Because you can't disguise dishonesty or lies whether you're speaking the Queen's English or not.
I know.
You know what I mean?
It's
like you're spotted. Excuse me. I know you're talking about the inference in that circumstance is circumstantial evidence, but really, truly, who put it there? You do get what I'm saying to you? Don't come with these big words and think you're going to bamboozle me. You know what I'm saying to you?
Exactly
I know exactly what you mean, but I'm going to say it in layman terms.
The thing is, I know what all I am is the notch on their bedpost and the victory. They don't care about the truth. They don't care about what's moral and what's ethical. All they care about is getting a victory so they can go from being this barrister to a judge or a King's Counsel or whatever it may be. They just care about their career. They don't care about individuals. And this is the sad truth. So, but I do care about individuals and I do care about myself. And so I will say it how it is.
Yeah. I really think that I really do think that they need to change it, because it is unfair that a solicitor can say that they're a solicitor and give shit work. And I'm going to use that word because I don't like swearing.
It is.
It is. How can you call yourself a solicitor?
Well, none of them are doing that honourable best.
You know what I mean? But if I paid you, you'd put more effort in. Well, that's just, I think it's disgraceful.
It's quite funny, actually, because
it's disgraceful.
I saw it a lot inside. The people that came in that did have a little bit of money and they paid for their own barristers, and like you said, it would cost tens of thousands of pounds.
Hundreds.
9 out of 10 times they get the result they wanted.
Yeah.
I had, talking about Judge Lockhart,
You've met him before?
I've never had him as a judge, no, funnily enough. No, I haven't. But I've had a friend of mine that went to trial. It was a hung jury. So what they did, they put it back for a retrial. And they did a retrial and he got found not guilty. But Judge Lockhart, in the second time in criminal history, threw the whole jury out and found him guilty.
What?
Sentenced him to
That
prison.
same guy?
And
Same guy?
that's Lockhart, but that's
Lockhart or Lockhart?
Lockhart, I think his name is.
Oh, so you reckon they're two different
No,
judges?
same person.
Oh, same
person. Yeah.
Well, I heard this guy was arrogant.
Yeah, I don't want to speak bad about judges because I can know the harm that they can cause you.
Yeah, you got a case still, ain't you?
But so you know, you've got to take these are people that have emotions, that have feelings, that will act in a malicious way if they feel like they're being, that just because they're in a bad day. Yeah, exactly.
Is that what you mean? Is that what you're trying to
say?
Exactly.
They have a bad day.
Then
they're going to think, wow, this guy's going down today. I don't care what is.
What is that? What is that thing where they don't have any juries? What's that called? Because I'd like the members of the public to understand.
That's a magistrate's court.
No. So you go to it's a crown, but it's like it's called a something trial. Come on. Where it's just you, the judge, and he makes a decision whether you're guilty or not.
Isn't that a Goodyear indication?
Goodyear,
or a
Come on, you know what?
Like a judge in chambers, that type thing. So you can go and state your case to the judge.
Yeah,
and
he states it.
He'll make a decision, but
what's it called, man? It's not a Goodyear.
A Goodyear indication to see how long you get if you went guilty.
Hopefully it'll come back to me, man.
Yeah. Anyway,
fact check for me, please. Yeah, thank you. Beautiful. Yeah, you know what I'm saying to you. So. But
that's Crown Courts. Crown Courts have jury. Magistrates have 3 magistrates, and generally they are just people with no legal experience that are making decisions on you based on.
And then if they can't deal with it,
they'll send it to Crown.
Anything under a year they can deal with.
Yeah.
Anything where they feel like it's going to be over a year, they send it to Crown Court.
Yeah, you can always yourself ask for it to go to Crown Court.
Okay.
If you want to be put in front of a jury and thinking, I don't trust these 3 magistrates that are up here, they might not look at me. There might be 3 white middle class people and you're a black man. Do you know what I mean? You know I'm coming from.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, I know. I do get what you're trying to say. I mean, there's another thing that I wanted to sort of touch upon as well is like
bench trial.
No, it's not. That's not it. There's another one where it's like a mini trial without no juries. English, put UK.
I did.
What's it called now? Because I had one as well, man, and it's awful. So basically, the judge, you have like a mini trial without any jury, and he makes he will either find you guilty or not guilty, and it is the judge. I really find it hard how a judge can draw inference of all the many years of hearing the same case, drug dealers, robbers, whatever, sex, whatever, and that. Yeah, this is what happened. This is what they did, and most of the times it's near enough the same. The encros, drug dealers don't put drugs in their house; they put it in somebody else's house, but then they're trying to say that it's not. You know what I mean? So how is he then going to draw inference that your story is
legitimate?
It's legit. Like, and really be honest and be like, okay, I did not draw on the 150 cases that I've been with about your case.
But I bet if you put the same case, exactly the same case, exactly the same person, in front of 50 different judges, 50 different juries, you're not going to get the same outcome. And even if you get guilty, you're not even going to get the same sentence.
Oh yeah, I know.
So how can the
the
criminal justice system be fair when there isn't any consistency in the amount of time that you're gonna get, the level of risks that you are? That it's for me it's flawed. It's flawed.
I think I would love for them to really take on board right here about the legal people who try to help us, pay them a bit more money, pay them a lot more money.
Do you know what
so that we at least get a fighting chance?
Can I be honest? Can I be honest though?
Come on, man.
I think obviously you need good representation. You need to be able to be represented.
But why do I have to have £100 before I get good representation?
Why are a lot of these cases that are non-violent, not high risk, getting to court anyway, where you need a solicitor? A lot of I think what's happened over the years, and especially over the last sort of 25, 30 years, legislation is getting put through, and that legislation is making, if you break that legislation, break that law, then you are a criminal. But that law might be wanting to get in contact with your kids, and there's an order there saying, you know, you can't contact the missus, but that's the only option you've got. There's I think a lot of things are making people criminals when they're not criminals, and you're getting sentences which are so high it's clogging up the system.
Beautiful.
You're needing more solicitors because the system's so clogged up. So the service gets thinner, the service gets weaker.
They thought by locking people up more, they're dealing with the case, with the whatever. But actually, and then forgot about rehabilitation.
Yeah.
Now I'm saying to you, you're giving longer sentences, but not thinking about the consequences of what will happen. You're not building more prisons, but you're giving more sentences. You're giving longer sentences to people who probably just needs a place to hang up his head, stop taking drugs.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like, you've got petty people in there. What's the point in there? And then come out even worse because now they've linked up with some geezer who was $100 a month or a week. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying to you? Like,
100%.
come on, man.
And it's not just that.
Fix up, blood.
Then it becomes part of a cycle of their life. They know they're quite happy to go back into prison. They're now going to go back into prison, so it's no deterrent. So they go back into community. They start using drugs again. They have to start shoplifting or whatever or whatever it is they're robbing or to sustain that habit. Eventually, that gets them put back in prison. This is a cycle that continues. So you have a percentage of people that keep on going back to prison doing the same thing. If you could break that cycle, instead of building hospitals, building more rehab centres that easy to get into.
Not just hospitals, rehab centres as well.
Rehab and both. Psychiatric hospitals and rehab centre.
Come on, man.
Start as soon as you start doing that and you start breaking cycles, then people don't start reoffending so much, and the prisons aren't so full. And you don't need to build prisons. I think they're planning building three new super prisons. So I think that's in excess of 1,500 prisoners. Why are we building more prisons when we know we've got an issue with the prisons that we have already? What they're building prisons to the same framework, to the same structure, which inevitably are going to have the same problems. The whole system needs to be changed. We need to be looking more at the Scandinavian and how they.
Yeah. You talk a lot about this.
Yeah, well, it makes sense. If you can help people to become a part of a community and they understand what community is, and they've got a part in that community when they get out, they're less likely to do something to harm that community. So in Scandinavia, Norway especially, they have prisons which are, they have shops in them. It is like a small community where you learn to live normally. And I think they have like a 6% reoffending. I might be wrong there, but
that's amazing.
It's so small.
That's amazing.
But this comes down to culturally, us as British people, what we think is revenge, throw away the key, lock them up, don't give them anything. It's all about revenge and causing pain. The Norwegians as a culture, they don't see it like that. They don't want to cause harm. What they want to do is they want to...
Norwegians, 20% reoffending rate.
20% reoffending compared to the British, which I think 60%. So when you have a problem and a solution, our problem is prisons too full, too many prisons, the reoffending rate's too high. So what the government do is they throw a load of money into a sinking ship, build 3 more prisons.
What's the one for
46?
46 double.
46 double, yeah.
English double.
So for me, it's absolutely crazy. You know, we're just and the British people, because of papers like the Daily Mail, which sort of like sensationalise what prison life is like. You know, they've got Xboxes and this, that, and that.
And it's not about that, bro.
Like that at all.
It ain't about that, G. Come on, man.
So we've got to start changing.
It's 2024, bro. Like, if you want to murder me for doing something, if you want to hang me, like what they used to do back in the day, because of human rights, because of the woke society, but we'll talk about that on a different day, right? Yeah. I'm allowed to have a TV. I'm allowed to have a radio. I'm allowed to have a PlayStation. I'm allowed to have things so that I don't know why they said that I could have it in there, but that's what in 2025, right here, we're allowed to have. Yeah. So don't think prison is not hard. Prison is hard because people get sliced up. And my family, remember last week or when we did the last one, families also are getting ripped apart, mate. From my
But maybe people do have
naughtiness.
things. Maybe people do have things in prison, but you don't just get given those. You have to earn them.
You've got to earn them as
You've
well.
got to be behaved. You've got to like keep yourself
said.
on. You know, it's
like as if
IEPs, incentive earned privileges. So
That's true.
if you do good, you will get extra privileges.
It's
If you
true.
do bad, you'll get your
true.
TV taken away.
It's
You'll
true.
get these things taken away.
It's
so
true. It's true. It's really bad. I think that's a very good point there. How they try to like amplify that. Oh, we're all having fun and having laughters in there. You know what I'm saying, sir? Look, we ain't having fun and laughter in there, mate. Because once that door is banged up, mate. You know what I'm saying, sir? It is the mental battle that you go through. I'm telling you, the first day you're like, I wish I could turn back time.
100%.
I wish I didn't do that. I wish I'm never gonna do that again. You know what I'm saying?
It sounds like
come on,
if somebody walked into your cell and said, "There's £1 million there now. If you do your sentence, you can have that money." I bet a lot of people would fucking
go out.
Well, maybe £1 million is pushing it too far, but
Because
you
money,
know what I'm saying. It's sort of like there isn't really your freedom is worth so much more than anything else, and you don't realise that until you sat in that
Well,
cell.
I remember trying to pay somebody to do a time to do prison, but yeah, I did.
Allegedly.
No, I did. I did. I remember. Yeah, I did. I was gonna pay some dude like on the 10-year sentence. Yeah, I was gonna say, yo, listen, because it happens, mate. I was gonna pay him some dough right here. So yo, you take that charge. But it was like yeah. But then secondly, it was like no. So you're right. People would rather stay out. And I was pissed because I was thinking, yo, you can do this. You're gonna save me 5 years, bro. Like yo, pat the thing, man. Do the sentence. You know what I mean? Shout out to man. You know what I mean? He's a good kid, man. You know that kid is probably one of the only kids who, out of all the kids that I had under my belt right here, that said something to me that made me really resonate to what I was doing was wrong. So yes, Stewie. So I just wanted to sort of like let people know what happens when you get arrested, and from when you get arrested to when you go to jail, like how the system helps you with like the legal part of it. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So when I got arrested, police knocked on my door. I got arrested. Went to the police station. I think you have to sit in front of the big man, sergeant, and he was like, okay, then would you have a phone call? Do you want to make a phone call? I said yes, and the phone call is to either one of your duty solicitors that you've already had before, if you've been before, or a new one. So I had
or a family member.
Yeah. Thank you. Correct. Yeah.
Which is usually the first thing you want to do.
I was about to say, I don't even know whether... No, I didn't think I'd ring my wife, actually. That's just old school ways, because then they get to know your number, but let's not go into that. So, yeah, I rang my solicitor. It took time for him to come. He came, and one of the things that the solicitors do is they have a private chat with you first.
Yeah, that's right.
And so we had a private chat, and usually they ask you whether you want to make a prepared statement. You know, I didn't make a prepared statement. I told him that I had nothing to hide. So I said all my thing in the interview room. Mm-hmm. Interview room was myself, the duty solicitor, and 2 police officers. Mm-hmm. I got questioned. And then after all of that, they then had to make a decision whether I was going to get remanded or let on bail. I got remanded.
Yeah.
Got remanded. I believe that the solicitor represents you in a magistrate's court, and if it goes to Crown Court,
you got to have a barrister that represents you.
Okay, got to have a barrister. But I think mine went from magistrate's court straight remanded. I believe so. Is that possible?
Yeah, of course it is. And I think what they do is, if you're going to be, that your possible sentence is going to be over 12 months, that will get transferred to a Crown Court. But what they'll do is they'll remand you from the magistrates into the prison, waiting for a day where you can go into Crown Court.
Beautiful.
And then they'll decide what they need to do, if they need to do anything with you.
I had a license recall reactivated because I was just finishing my license. Yeah. So they then came in. The solicitor, he's allowed to work in the magistrates. I got remanded, license recalled. He then visits you. Well, he visited me once or twice while I was in the prison, and then I sacked him, got another duty solicitor, and then went to court and had a barrister then fight my corner for me.
It's really difficult finding that solicitor. A lot of the work that I did in prison as my job was like supporting men with practical aspects of their prison life. And I'd have a lot of times where men would come and say, I don't know who my solicitor is. My solicitor hasn't been in contact with me. And I said, well, do you know what police station? Do you know, they had no information at all about. So as far as they know, that they're in prison, they don't know when their court date is. They don't know when the solicitor's going to get in contact with them, if they're going to get in contact with them. They're sat there waiting. You get a lot of men panicking. But I said the Inside Times, that's like a prison newspaper.
Yeah.
Do you know what? For a lot of men, it was like
saving grace.
Saving grace, because in the back of there you have lists of different solicitors, whether that's for criminal cases, family cases, or for issues that are in prison. But
it's nice to be recommended, though. Instead of having to pick one out.
Do you know what though? Everyone says you've either got my solicitor is amazing or my solicitor is awful. Then I've done it before. Somebody said, "Oh, their solicitor's amazing," so I've had them, and I've had exactly the same service I've had from any other Jew solicitor. It's unfortunate, but it's almost like I don't like this. The stigma. You stigmatized a lot. When you get arrested, you're in a cell, or you're in a prison cell, wherever it may be. When you've been through the criminal justice system, you're stigmatized when you're in the courts, and I feel like you're stigmatized when you're released as well. Although you've served your sentence and you've done everything, you don't get. We're classified as ex-offenders, but you don't call people in the community that have stopped drinking ex-alcoholics. You don't call them. They're just people, aren't they? So I wonder why prisoners, whether the need to call them ex-offenders or, it's sort of, we're just people like everybody else,
I love that what you're trying to say. I really don't mind, because I say that because I don't mind being vulnerable. No, that's not even the right word. I don't mind saying who I was before. Like, I was an ex-offender. I'm an ex-prisoner. But this is who I am now. I think it's for people to sort of understand that don't judge a book by its cover, which is really hard.
Yeah, it is really hard. But I think we touched on the last podcast and was in the prison giving a talk, and they turned around and says, you prisoners sort of thing, or it was your ex-offenders. And
what the one?
And I like to see myself as somebody that has a really good lived experience of a certain aspect or subculture. That's what it is. The prison's a subculture, and I've got a really good lived experience of that, and I'd like to be recognised for that rather than being an ex-prisoner.
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you. What thing I found out since I got out from prison is that, even though they say to me that lived experience is important, it's not important. It is important, and these are the people who are trying to give you jobs. I don't know what it is that it will, once you cross that line of being a prisoner, I feel like as if it really don't matter after you've done your sentence. You're still seen as a red flag.
You are
worse than a red flag, like a shit on the bottom of your shoe. And I think it's so sad because some people mistakes, some people homeless, some people drug addiction, some people it's false accusation. You know what I'm saying to you?
I think the trouble is with like that stigma, that when you stigmatise with being an ex-offender, it has knock-on effects to every aspect of your life. So if you want to got a job, you've got to disclose what your offence was, although that offence might be spent and it's got nothing to do with you getting a job. Your personal lives. If for example, if I ever went out on a date with a brave enough to go on out on a proper date with a girl, how do I bridge that gap of saying, okay, I've spent 7 years in prison and this is the reason being, I'm being stigmatized within that relationship. And so every aspect of your life when you get out, and I don't understand why I feel like that, or why I feel like
you owe people like to tell you like I'm sorry to finish that sentence. Well, I feel like what you're gonna say there is why you feel I have to tell people that I'm an ex-prisoner, or I'm an ex-offender, or I've been to prison. You know what I mean? Take me for what I am. Take me for who I am now.
Maybe I don't need to say it. Maybe
True.
what's happened to me
True.
in prison and how I feel about myself and my self-worth. Maybe I feel like I need to be honest with it because it shows every aspect of me.
But you don't need to be honest. Is that what you're saying? Because sometimes
Maybe I don't need to be.
and it's not about being honest. Maybe I don't need to divulge it now. I don't need to divulge it now. You're not even. I tend to sometimes, and I tend to say it before even being asked about it. But then when I've said it, you can see the face literally just drop like, oh, okay.
I find it funny because as
You know what I
soon
mean?
I've been in situations and where, like you say, you have mentioned it, and straight away you can see a little bit of, I don't know whether it's fear or uncertainty. They're unsure about you now. They thought they knew you. Now they're unsure because you've been to this place which they're nervous about, and that makes them nervous about you. But the stigmatized,
It's really bad.
yeah, it is, and I think it's one of the major sort of hurdles. I think for me talking, it's one of my major hurdles to get that in my head. I'm still a prisoner, because that's what I've been told. It's been drummed into me. This is who you are. So in my head, regardless of who I really am, that label still sticks with me.
Yeah.
To get rid of that label would be so. It make me realise that I am actually free now. Where I think that stigmatisation and that labelling, it sort of almost keeps you. And that weight on you, the system on you.
They teach you in there as well not to divulge. You don't have to divulge that you've been to prison. But one thing I've realised that is every time I go to, like, say, a job place and all that type of stuff, they want to know. You know what I mean? But in prison, it's like they don't know what they're teaching. In prison, you don't need to divulge. They call it time spent.
Yeah.
Can you explain? Can you tell what people time spent is?
Once you've when you've got a sentence, once your license is up.
Fact check, please.
Once your license is up, you're depending on what your how long you got in prison and what the offence was. You'll have X amount of years while that offence is still on the system. So anybody that wants to check up on you can. After a certain amount of time, maybe that's 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, whatever it might be. After that time, apparently, it's no longer in the system. The reality of that is a little bit different because we're on the internet now.
And that as well. Yeah.
You're on the
and that as well.
So you can't really escape.
Yeah.
You can't leave it behind. It's always going to be dragging along like a dead weight.
It's always going to be there. And you know what, G-Dog, though? But I don't mind. I've done my time. I've served my time. You know what I mean? You've punished me. You've done 7, 8 years behind the door, missed Christmases. I've done close to nearly 10 years behind the door, missed my kids growing up, missed Christmases. And then I've done my time. I have been punished. You know what frustrates me? Like I get out. You want me to get a job? I phoned the insurance company. The insurance company asked me, "Have you been to prison before?"
Yeah.
And I'm like, "What's that got to do with me driving?"
I know.
Well, okay then. Is it a non-criminal offence or a motor offence? Well, I have not done no motoring offence, so it should be cool. I've not even done fraud insurance, car insurance, so it should be cool. But my personal life, yes, I have. You know what I mean? And then what they then do is once you then put that you've got a criminal as the personal criminal offence, the price of you getting insured, 5,000 quid they wanted to insure me for. How is that fair?
I went through this exact same thing.
Disgusting.
Years ago.
Even they've got stigma about us.
Do you know what?
They shouldn't be allowed to.
Do you know what I had to do?
Sentences of 1 year or less become spent 1 year after the sentence term, reduced from 2 to 4 years, that used to be. Sentences between 1 to 4 years become spent 4 years after the sentence term, and that used to be 7 years.
Okay, so they brought it down.
Yeah, but that's still... So you've got to tell people that you were in jail during this amount of time. If you're driving or flying through.
Correct, yes. So if they ask the question, really and truly, I have to divulge it and say to them yes.
That's nice.
After 4 years, then I don't need to divulge it.
It's painful. The driving thing. I got out of prison. I couldn't get no insurance on my car.
Imagine that.
Do you know the only insurance company that would insure me?
No.
Insureprisoner.com.
Imagine that.
You can't believe there's an actual insurance company.
Look at that stigma.
And you're right. I think it cost me. Consider I've been driving like I don't know how many years, 30 years.
Imagine that.
It cost me 4 or 5 times what it would have before
That's
I went to
disgusting.
prison.
What is that got to do with what I went to jail for?
This is part of the stigma. You are punished even though you have done your sentence.
Disgusting.
It's hard. It's really hard.
It's disgusting.
And
you want me to be a good. You want me to be a good citizen again. And the first thing that you end up thinking of doing is lying, because you want to then say that, I am not a criminal. You know what I mean? So most people do. I didn't. I ended up like not driving and just went. I'm not gonna say, but yeah. But like, I just think you're now putting me in that position to lie. I can't be honest with you. Like, come on, man.
Just think of all of the. And I look, when you're in prison, it almost gets drummed into, follow the process. You do these things for us.
Yeah. Yeah.
You be this person. You show us that you're changing. You reduce your risk,
Absolutely.
and your life won't be like it was before. I think the reality is you have a lot of hope when you're in prison, but that hope quickly gets crushed when you get out, when you realise that all of these things get told about you, about your education, your training, these job opportunities when you get out of prison.
Yeah, it's not true.
It's not true.
It's not true.
And it's not.
And that's how the legal system then is not working for us, because you're wanting us to change. You're feeding us a lot of bullshit by saying to us, educate yourself, do these courses, do all of this type of courses. This is the government now implementing these type of things, but then you're not even implementing some sort of a surety to businesses all across the nation to say that, oh, look, these guys have been rehabilitated. We have put money into them not to be that person again. Please don't charge them £5,000 so that they can be insured. Please don't say no to this guy having a job because, okay then, look, a pedo. If a pedo wants a job within a school, yes, absolutely, that's pathetic. That ain't happening.
Yeah.
But if he wants a job within, and I'm going to the extreme because people will be thinking, why am I talking about that? Because, as they see us, we're all the same, aren't they? Even though we know we're not the same. Even though they know, because, officers in there don't like chilling with pedos.
I know.
You know what I'm saying to you?
Well,
they don't like
most
chilling.
of them.
Most of
some
them.
of them do.
But they seem to sort of like, when it's time to talk about prisoners, they always talk about murderers or pedos. Now, what about the petty theft? What about the drug dealers? What about the guy who just
is autistic or has got ADHD or has got some sort of mental health issues, which is
man. You got to separate every single person, mate. You know what I mean? But if that person who's a pedo now wants to work in a school, sorry, mate. You can't work in there. But go work as a tow truck driver or something or whatever.
You can understand disclosure and why you should disclose for some people.
Let's get that right.
Let's be honest. That should only be there for some people. It really creates a barrier for others. For 90% of those that are trying to move on with their life and get some sort of, obviously we've spoke about it in the past, there are jobs that you can get. When I was in prison, there's a lot of courses that you're given. A lot of them aren't accredited, which means they're not official. A lot of them aren't at the levels where if you get out of prison you can get a job. You don't have a lot of those sort of options. But there are certain. There was a company called RMF which works within the building and railway and on the railways, and I was fortunate enough to get some training with them, and I did. And unfortunately, I wasn't out of prison very long, but it's the only time that I've really felt like I had some sort of support when I got out of prison. So I did the training inside, working on the tracks. But when you get out, you have to have a day actually working on the tracks, on live tracks, to finish get your qualification. So I went and did that. And after that day, and I'd done all my training, and I went into the office and I said, can I have a word with the manager there that was at the time? And I sat down and I said, listen, I'll take any job. I don't care what it is. I haven't got a vehicle, so if you can make it as close to where I was living at the time, I'd really appreciate that. He looked at me and for 5-10 seconds, and he got in his drawer and he pulled out the drawers and he gave me some keys to, it was like a Toyota people carrier type thing. Says there's a job for you. It was an hour's drive for me at the time, or an hour and a half's drive every morning, every back. Says you've got work 7 days a week. You get paid extra.
I heard they paid good money.
Saturday, Sunday.
Was it good
really
money?
good, mate.
Yeah.
Some weeks I was coming out with £700 a week,
Oh, yeah.
which coming straight out of prison, literally within a week I was working and I had a vehicle. This is a company that really does support ex-prisoners. They are, and I can't express how good they are.
Fair play to you.
But the service isn't offered to enough people in prison, you know, and it's just so hard. I didn't feel stigmatized working with that company because there was a lot of other people there that were ex-prisoners,
Come on,
and I'm not from the majority of them, which I found really strange because you know, as an ex-prisoner, you go into a new workspace and you try and keep yourself, you know, a bit isolated, maybe. Like,
Isn't that what they teach you though?
don't want to show you. But then when I started talking to the lads, they were like, "Oh yeah, I did 3 years," and so I've done 6 months. And it's like, and all of a sudden, you're not the odd one out.
So can I say something? They teach you to put yourself around like-minded people. I think like what they teach, they don't preach. They say surround yourself with like-minded people. It means surround yourself with people who want to be successful, who want to do good. Okay, RMF, sound. But like, who knows what that guy is up to? I don't know what they're up to. And hopefully all of them are on there because they don't want to be that person that they used to be.
Oh, 100%.
However, though, you're putting me in places where I am with people who me personally, I want to be around people who I see nothing like how I used to be. So if I want to work in a car, I sell drugs. I've got 20 years of experience of selling drugs, and
So
I did very well.
You're a salesman.
I'm a salesman. So why can't I then be so frank with the car sales? A box is a car.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, bro? A box is a car.
It's true. But
So let me go then use my sales skills that I did very well in and start selling cars.
But
Or sell something that is legal, as they say.
what you weren't shown when you was younger was that actually that talent that you had to create a business, to be able to sell stuff, you could have put that, but you didn't have anybody to show you.
Of course, exactly.
So
exactly.
This is almost what's needed in prison.
And that's the legal. Is a legal part of the judicial system that needs a whole real jigging. Listen, even a solicitor. Like, you know that I can't be a solicitor because I've got a criminal record now.
I didn't know that.
Yes, you can't be a solicitor. Can you please fact check, please? Yeah, I love that, man. You know what I mean? Yeah. But I don't think you can. There was a program I watched about this guy who'd been to jail, but then he had to be tested or something like that to see whether he could be a solicitor. But then he did all the qualifications, but he couldn't be a solicitor apart from him until somebody gave him a chance. A guy gave him a chance.
Go on, fact check.
Case by case basis.
Yes, someone had to give him a chance. Yes,
and
case by case.
They have to deem whether or not someone's a suitable character to become a solicitor.
Imagine that.
So you have to have you have to be honourable, because that's what they classify themselves to be. So, but allegedly.
So imagine now. So again, I can't do it on merit now. You know what I mean? Okay, I was this person before. I've passed the test. I've done all that type of stuff, and then this guy's gonna have to sort of say, "Well, you know," and highly likely, yo, top dog, highly likely, mate, because I'm not talking about like as if I haven't lived it. I have been for 2 jobs since I've gone out. 2 jobs, no, a bit more than that. 3 jobs, working in the type of job that I want to be. All them singing praises, giving me praises. Oh, you're great. Oh, you're wonderful. Oh, you're gonna be good. And I've been knocked back. The worst one, the last one was the worst one. I actually told them that, I had a 10-year sentence. And they were like, oh, no problem, they'll be perfect. Working with troubled kids who could end up like I am, like how I was. They said, oh, that would be perfect. Lovely lady, I can't remember her name now. She says, yeah, we're going to give you a chance. You did good. Went through all the thing. They're going to teach me how to do restraints. And then I got back from I got a letter from the HR says, you're not suitable. I thought, you what? I thought, well, how am I not suitable?
It's difficult.
How am I not suitable?
Well,
that makes sense.
I've been exact. I got out of prison. I got had somebody from the NHS contact me in regards to being an advisor for improving healthcare within prisons. Says we don't usually interview anybody unless they've been out of prison for 3 years, but we really like what you have to say. And
LinkedIn.
Through somebody on LinkedIn, and I was like blown away. I thought this is something you've got an opportunity,
Yeah.
and then what happened? Nothing.
Yeah.
And it comes down to trust, how people perceive you as an ex-prisoner.
Yeah.
And for me,
Yeah.
like you get a lot of lads in prison, and similar sort of thing. They're in prison for earning a hell of a lot of money, doing criminal activities. Why not have a prison that's a business school? And these people that are really good at what they do, because they've proved that they're good, they're just doing it in the wrong way.
Using it in the wrong way.
Why not put them into a prison that actually, teaches them how to transfer that into a practical business?
Practical.
I had a conversation with a doctor of criminology not too long ago, talking about solutions to the problems with prisons in this country, and a really good idea like popped up. Well, she talked about, which it keeps sitting in my head and thinking, instead of having prisons that was just mix of everybody everywhere, remand prisons, whatever they are, why not have prisons that specifically teach you how to be a bricklayer, work on the building site, ones that teach you how to be a teacher,
They do. I think you got to go to a certain jails to do.
Well, they have. You get therapeutic communities, and you have bits and bobs, but there's no specific prisons which you can go to saying, do you know what?
Is that what you meant?
So the prisons are like colleges. You go to this prison to learn a certain thing, and you get transferred there, and
there is. But I love what you're trying to say. As in, like, I want to become an engineer. I want to become a bricklayer. I want to do decorating.
This prison
really.
I can get a degree in that, or I can get.
Days, that is amazing.
So then you actually
specializes in painting and decorating.
And then what you're going to get? You're going to get certain prisoners that actually do want to change and do want to grow.
Yeah, beautiful.
Applying to go to these prisons.
Absolutely.
And then the ones that are left, they're the ones that the system really needs to work on to get them to that place.
Yeah, because obviously, if you want to go to there, you're going to be with people who are like-minded, who want to work, who want to do bricklaying, who want to do something, about their life.
Maybe instead of linking up in the College of Criminals, what you're actually doing is you're linking up with people in prison that are becoming bricklayers as well, and you're going to set a legal business together. And instead of talking about who you're going to rob and what boxes you're going to sell and where you're going to get it from, what you're actually talking about is what sort of houses are you going to build. And these are the conversations that should be had that aren't being had.
I find it very trivial, Hawks, that as quickly as you just come up with this idea that the people above, I give them not above God, but the people above do not have faith in people like yourself, even myself, that we can bring something new to the table that they can't. Just because you're academically challenged, academically acclaimed.
Yeah.
Well, unfortunately, I am academically acclaimed to prison life. But they need to be able to tell. They need to give people like yourself, myself, and other people a chance who genuinely want to do something. Because we are the ones, with the innovative ideas to make it a better place.
That's hope.
That's hope.
It's hope, and I think
but it's not difficult though.
And I think that hope that's the hope that I had in prison. That's the hope when I got released from prison, and that hope, it's something so hard to hold on to because you get so many knockbacks. And when you have so much to offer and you're good at what you do, but that's not recognised because you're labelled as an ex-prisoner. And although you're what you can give is based around that, it's still not quite enough for them to trust you.
I looked at the jobs in Indeed. I used Indeed to look for jobs. And do you know that when it comes to looking after human lives, whether it is whether they're ex-offenders or not, do you know that the wages that they pay them is absolutely disgusting?
Oh, I'm well aware of that.
I couldn't believe it. That and the point for that is the respect for human life, whether it's mental or even nurses and hospitals, the respect for humans, it's shocking because the wages that I see that they pay people for people who want to help another human being to be a better person, to live a better, which would then cost less, which would be cheaper because then less people in prisons, it's absolutely. I feel like they don't care about
Well,
human beings.
it-
I feel like they don't care, and this is talk about legal system.
it's about value.
They don't care.
No, they don't.
They don't care.
You're either valued or you're
They
not.
don't care.
You're valued or you're not valued. You're
They don't
valued
care.
monetary or you're valued by the person that you are. And
Monetary, you said money.
It's monetary. That's what it's all about. Your value is down to how much of that you can produce
It's
and how much you can make for those that are above. But this is going into another conversation. I could go deep into this, but we won't.
Yeah. I mean,
And I know you could as well, John.
yeah, it's so sad because the legal system is supposed to be setting us an example. They're supposed to be the forefront of ideas. They're supposed to be the ones who are rehabilitating. You know what I mean? The legal system. They need to. I don't even think they believe in. They don't believe.
Let's
in what
be
they're-
honest. Let's
Come
be
on.
honest now. What it represents and what it delivers is two completely different
I
things.
think it's so sad.
And it's
It's so sad, man. The people out there who are watching, man, they think that they're getting value for money.
they think that the
they're
taxes that they're
Yeah.
paying is going into some sort of efficient
It's not, man.
machine that's churning
That works.
that's resolving problems.
That works.
What's actually happening is it's a completely and utterly failed system.
And that's why they're sending people out in prison 9 months early. Listen, fair play to the prisoners who are getting out 9 months early, 4 months early, 6 months early, and them type of things there. But the victim ain't happy. You know what I'm saying, child? Yeah. The victim ain't happy. So that means they need to think about. They need to start working on rehabilitation, brother.
The reason they're sending people out early is because Tony Blair, back when he started saying what we need to tougher on crime and what we need to do is put people away for longer. So what you would have got 20, 30 years ago is 2 or 3 times higher now. So all of these people are sat in prison. They're releasing them because initially they were giving them 2 higher sentences in the first place. This has been going on for such a long time that it's got to a critical point now. And their solution to this critical point is to build more prisons and fill it up with more prisoners.
Yeah, I know. I think somebody like us. Needs. I know. I keep saying this. I have changed. I have changed, big man. I have changed, man. I have changed. And I just wish that they could really believe in that I am not that person anymore. I can go to a holistic, because I'm a man of faith. I believe in God, Jesus Christ, and He forgave me for my sins. And I think they need to learn how to forgive. Now they're not using a holistic point. So what is it that you're doing for me then when I go to prison? Because I go to prison, I get out, and the people who are offering me a job haven't forgiven me because they say no. The insurance people who are supposed to be giving me a car, they haven't forgiven me because they charged me 5,000. Like, so what is the point of what? Okay, I get punished. What is really happening to that person? What is happening that I am being punished? But then what is happening when I get out? Like, there's such a disparity between there's such a disparity between the two, that the government, who are supposed to be they're not leading because we are 46, but they're supposed to be. They need to think outside the box.
Yeah, I think people in general, what they do is they look at the government as their mother and father, and they're there to do everything that's in their best interest. The reality is, it's a completely flawed system which creates
down to the solicitors, from the solicitors to the barristers,
from the police,
and
from the police all the way up and all the way. I could. I've got a story. I'm not going to go into it now.
I've heard about this one. Please tell me. And I think people don't. I think people, you think that they are straight.
You're gonna
sell that one?
I'm just gonna tell a short story because what I want to do is, because I've got some CCTV footage of me being beaten by the police, and there's a whole backstory and everything. Man. And I really wanted to sort of like do this at another point, but I'll give a little.
And be fair as well. Be like, don't be biased.
So no, I'm not. I'm going to say exactly how it is. 2020, had COVID. I was in a bail hostel. Couldn't go back to the bail hostel. Called them up. Said I've got COVID. I need to get a test. 24 hours later, I went back with the test and all of that. 3-4 days later, I get woken up at about 3 o'clock in the morning by, and I'm not joking, there were 5 or 6 police officers, a couple of CID, 5 or 6 police officers in my room. I walked out of my room, all the way down the corridor, all the way out the hostel, all the way onto the road. There was lines of police. There must have been 25 officers there. On the street, there was 6 or 7 cars, riot vans. I'm thinking, my God, what the hell have I done here? You know, but really, I get to the police station, asked them why I've been arrested. They said, you've breached your, not going back to the hostel. I said, well, that's all been dealt with. I've spoke to you about it. It's days later. And then, yeah, sorry, folks, I'm just calling up our cameraman by accident. So, yeah, I got arrested. I said to them, why are you arresting me? They said, you've breached this order. I said, well, I haven't breached anything. I said, can you give me the warrant? Can you show it? They got a printout for the PNC, the Police National Computer, which just said motor. And I said, no, that's not acceptable. And they said, oh, well, we'll put you in a cell and you can speak to your solicitor. So they put me in the cell. Hours went past. Hours. And I was on medication at the time. I had my medication, fell asleep for a few more hours, woke up, put the bell on. I said, where's my solicitor? Says, your solicitor's not coming, mate. Says, no, that's my right. I want my solicitor's not coming. I felt a little bit like uncomfortable about this. I says, can you turn my light off then so I can sleep? No, we're not turning your light off. I said, you what? So angry, stupid, whatever which way you look at it. I took my sock off my shoe and I put it over the camera. I had 2 officers come.
You did?
Yeah, I did, yeah.
What?
2 officers, because I was just, they weren't turning my light off, wanted to get sleep, wouldn't tell me why I was arrested, wouldn't give me a solicitor. I was angry, you know? I was like, I knew my rights weren't being given. 2 officers came to the cell, opened the door, shut it quickly. That's strange. Next thing I know, 5 officers come to the cell, open the door, like a rugby team, come in, beat the crap out of me. Got it on CCTV. The unfortunate thing is they've cut some of it out. But it's all premeditated. You've got them coming down to the cell doing that beforehand and broken bones and everything. But I've gone through IPCC complaints for this and nobody's been sacked for it. Nothing's happened. No. And I just see corruption right from as soon as you get arrested. I've seen it. I've experienced it. I see it in the courts when it comes to the solicitors. I see it when it comes to judges abusing their power or using their power in a dishonourable way. I see
God will watch them, you know.
I see it in prison with the prison officers. I see it when you get out with probation, and then I see it within your own personal lives. And it's very corruption and the systemic failure is so rife, but nobody's doing anything about it, and nobody really wants to because they've got their mortgages to pay. They've got their jobs to go to. They've got their kids to worry about. Who wants to care about prisoners? Yeah, you know. Yeah. Well, it's their tax money that's being wasted.
It's true. It's true. Sad, isn't it?
Well, mate,
I feel sad, you know.
It kills me.
I feel sad.
Why do you think I'm doing this now? Why do you think I do the work that I do? Because the trauma that the government, the people that are supposed to be looking after you, can cause is it's sort of like unquantifiable, really.
I said to somebody, the law, the legal system have to set a standard, a moral standard in how they should catch criminals and how they want the criminals that they've caught to behave, or how. But they have they've dipped below the standard to catch criminals. Do you get what I'm trying to say?
Yeah,
they've turned into the devil to catch the devil. So where's the difference then?
I can go into. I'm not going to go into this now because it's for another episode. But yeah, what you got to understand is they are police officers. They're wearing a uniform, yeah. So they should be holding a badge of honor,
morality.
What you've got to realise is
right from wrong.
These are people just like us, like everybody else, with emotions and feelings, and they'll do bad things. What you got to every day they're together in their office or their police station, and they're talking about names that they want to get put in prison. I know this as for a fact. So you'll be a target, and they will use any underhand way to achieve their goal. And if you're unlucky enough to have problems with the police, and that police officer if you're unlucky enough to have problems with somebody, and they have a relationship with the police on a personal level, that can cause you a lot of trouble too. The people say in prison they're the biggest gang in the country.
Yes, I
it's
know.
It's like
true,
a constant thing, biggest gang in the country, and the reality is they are. You see, yeah. I don't know. I think we've sort of covered as much as we can about the legal sides for now.
I think you've really done well about it. I think you've really opened the eyes that the legal system is there to protect, but also in some cases, I am gonna put it like that. In some cases, there's some bad apples.
There are some, yeah.
I'm reluctant to say there's more bad apples than there is good ones.
I won't be able to say.
Exactly.
From my experience, I've had more bad experience than good experience. So I can just go off my.
Yeah. It's a shame. You know what? I've had one bad experience. So I will say that it's not all doom and gloom. But I guess the point is once you know that there's a bad one there, you do have the right to change. One, solicitors. Two, hopefully it's not the police, because they're probably one of the hardest ones to beat.
Yeah, the solicitor side of things though, a little bit of advice which I've learned after. If you want to have a solicitor that's going to represent you in the best way, get a solicitor out of county. Because
London are good.
Well,
London
it doesn't matter. If you're
London are sick, bro.
If you're in Warwickshire,
London are sick.
Get a solicitor from Leicestershire, because that solicitor or that barrister will not have been working with those judges and the CPS, and they wouldn't have formed a relationship. So they're more likely to fight for you a little bit better. Okay. It's really important. Never stick with a duty solicitor from the police station. Yeah. They've got too much contact with the police. There's too much of a relationship going there.
And people think, oh yeah, you're talking shit. No, it's not true. But it is.
It's true. And unfortunately, it's the sad truth, isn't it?
For those people who've never been in trouble with the law and don't know, like we're talking from first-hand experience. First-hand experience, mate. Like it does happen. Like you said, they're human beings, mate. They're human beings, man. Make him go guilty, man. You can't be bothered to carry on.
We don't want to do this trial. What's the point in this? Why do I want to work for you? I'm not going to earn that money. Why don't you just go guilty?
Right, yeah.
Gets it all done quickly. If you go guilty, you might be out in 6 weeks. If you go not guilty, you're going to be in prison for 6 months. So everyone goes, do you know what? Yeah. Rather than waiting 6 months, I'm going to get out. I'm just going to go guilty.
And I feel that's another topic to talk about, because I think it's really disgusting how they sort of say to you, look, go guilty so that, and go guilty so that, you don't waste the time. One, some people who are not mentally, understanding of that, but I get understanding, then end up going guilty. But I guess, why would you go guilty if you haven't done it? That's one thing there. But then also, when they say to you, go guilty, and you do go guilty, instead of them giving you that time that they said they're going to give you, right, they end up giving you more.
I know.
You know what I'm saying? But well, you should have got guilty then.
I know.
How can... And that happens. That really does happen.
This is what
that does happen, and I think that's disgusting.
This is what I've learned, you see, because they've already your duty solicitor, the CPS, and the judge have already had this conversation. What has he done? What's the sentence guidelines? What do we want to give him from our personal opinion? Yeah. And they will have this conversation beforehand. Yeah. So it's just like when you go into court, it's almost like you're just a puppet in a play, and you're like the decisions have already been made. That's why it's so important.
And those are the intricacies of these things that we have seen from first hand. I'm telling you, I know for a fact. Oh, we're going to give you 4 months,
and then you get
18. 4 months, you get 18, but you've gone guilty. So you can't turn it back. You can't turn back the clock. You can't say, "Oh, judge, this fella, my solicitor, said that the prosecution is going to give me only 5 months." No, you can't say that. Even
Yeah.
if you do, even when
I
you
know.
do say that though, why did you take it then? Like, you should have took it.
Because
Like, you know what I mean?
what your solicitor will say to you, I've talked to CPS, we've come to decision, if you go guilty,
Yeah.
you're only going to get 4 months. You're thinking...
That's how they say it.
Yeah, that's exactly how they say it.
That's how they say it.
And you're thinking, 4 months. Oh, and how long have I got to wait for trial? Oh, the next trial date is set for 6 months down the line. And you're thinking, oh, do you know what? Bugger it. Do you know what?
Yeah.
Go guilty 4 months. I can
And
do
that's
4
bad.
months. And then, and then what? Yeah, like you say, and then you get there and you sat in
18 months.
you sat in the prison cell that night thinking, why the hell did I listen to my solicitor?
Correct, yes. Correct, yes.
And
That's really bad.
and this is
That's bad.
the conversation I have. There's one specific solicitor in Leamington. I'm not going to name the name, but I'm disgusted with them. I've had them myself before. I was in prison with two of the lads, and both of them were complaining about their solicitors and the work that they hadn't done and the sentence that they'd got. And when I asked them the name, they said the same name, and that's what made me ditch my solicitor and represent myself, because I thought I knew that anyway in myself, and now I've got actual evidence of two of the people that have been through the same thing.
I am trying not to mention the person.
It's hard, isn't it?
I am trying not to mention it, but I believe that is a story for the future. That's a story that I am not mentioning the company name yet, and the person specifically who was cahooting with.
Maybe we should just have like a podcast where we just literally bitch about everybody we can't stand.
Yeah.
Like this police officers, I could go to town on some CID officers, you know, like what they've done, you know, and give their names. And I don't know if I do that, am I going to be put a target on my?
I think if you're just telling your story, I think you should. But you know, again, that's a different topic. But yeah, on that note, man, you know, always a pleasure speaking to you, Hawks. I think this one here was more about the legal system of the police. I mean, of prisons. Yeah, legal system.
Yeah, I think it's the legality of the process of being arrested to getting into prison. I think I think we've sort of, like, for me, this is to help others. So if there's a lad watching this now, or a girl, whoever it may be, and they're thinking, I'm going through this process at the moment, and maybe they can take something away from this which might help them.
Absolutely.
You know, because I think going back to lived experience,
Absolutely.
you wouldn't get this sort of advice from a solicitor or from a probation officer.
Absolutely.
Or from what they're gonna try and spin it. They're going to try and paint a picture that they want to paint, where we're going to strip all of the paint back and we're going to show you what the canvas is like. Yes. You know. So.
And I hope we've done that for you people. This is Ribcage Podcast, where we are authentic. We speak our truth. We speak my truth. I spoke my truth. Fox spoke his truth, and we are going to continue to do that moving on into 2025.
And not have podcasts that make me angry.
Yeah, appreciate you guys. See you soon.
Take care, folks. Take care. Yeah. Ribcage Podcast.
Royal Chili Spice. Oh, listen. We want to say thank you to Royal Chili Spice as well. Royal Spice.
Royal Spice.
What do they call it? What did they do for you guys?
They did.
I've seen the video. It was awesome.
They did a Christmas. Well, it wasn't. It was an Indian Christmas dinner for a band of brothers supporting young men that are struggling. But more than that, they even did us some music, and it was amazing. So yeah,
awesome.
Royal Spice.
Come on, man. Royal Spice, man. Big up, man. Pinda.